So it's DHA's Reconnect with Rockers. I love reconnecting with new artists, especially those that I'm like a huge fan of. And when I get to fangirl on new DHA rock, it just makes me feel so good. So I'm here with Nick Reese from Joyous Wolf. I'm so happy because I love Joyous Wolf. I think you guys are such an incredible band. And I sort of don't know where to start. I'm going to start by talking about you and your presence when you are in front of a crowd. Your voice.
Nice.
I love the lower register, and yet the fact that we, bam, get to those crazy, insane, Joyous Wolf high notes. And also your presence on stage. I think we need rock stars in music. And I see you as being one of those people that is very commanding and is the future of what the rock star is looking like these days.
I don't know about any of that. I have a punk rock background, and that's where I kind of started, when it comes to like playing in bands and whatever. And that was just kind of like, the MO back then was just screaming at the crowd and, getting them to behave.
Well, see, I love that. That's the commanding part, though, because the people are with you. I think your presence cannot be denied. And that definitely comes from a punk stage. But let me also ask you, when you were a kid, somebody had to have bluesed you up a little bit, too, because
Well,
I hear,
yeah, I mean,
and I see that,
yeah.
I see that blues magic coming through as well.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, I listen to everything. And I came from a family where we listened to everything. And a lot of my early life was 88.1 KJazz. That's a famous station here in SoCal. And that's all I listen to when I go to school in the morning. Much to my sister's, chagrin. They weren't exactly happy about that. Yeah, there was a lot of blues music in my life, and there still is. And I actually I got to see my hero. I got to see BB King about 3 or 4 months before he died, and that was for my 20th birthday. Um, and that was probably the best gift I ever got. So thanks, mom and dad. Uh, yeah, I mean, that was like my development. Was I used to I'd sit and listen to these records that were my dad's collection. He was this rockabilly guy, in the 80s, like kind of Stray Cats stuff. And he had this record collection, and I would just sit there and play them, and it'd be everything from Jerry Lee Lewis to Roy Orbison and BB King and Muddy Waters, Mississippi Fred McDowell, you know, um, quite a few quite a few different artists. And on my mom's side, that's where my mom was the one who showed me like Led Zeppelin and stuff. And not even like any of like their more popular songs. There was that B-side song, Hey Hey What Can I Do? My mom would skip the entire compilation record and just go, she knew exactly where it was, she'd just pick it up and go right on to it. Yeah, I don't know. And then, I discovered James Brown, and Elvis Presley was like really like my first, like, made me want to like sing and dance and stuff, was watching him. And I had this book that's actually right up there. You can actually see it. It's on the top of the shelf
Yeah, I
there.
can see it.
It's called the Elvis Encyclopedia. I got that book probably when I was like 13. And in there, I discovered every artist that Elvis was ever affiliated with. And that's really where my musical digest began with, oh, if Elvis liked them, then, that's how I thought when I was like a 12, 13-year-old kid. And around that time is when I, started discovering like, like a lot of this, like the stuff of the day, I guess, like, like the Strokes and
Mhm.
Green Day and, all the stuff that kids my age were listening to. I kind of started to fall into that. Uh, and that's when I started being like, I want to try this out a couple of years later. And, you know, I was playing like bass in a band or something, like one of my very first bands or something, and, terribly good, but,
Good. I'm
all,
so glad it was terribly, though, because you need to be a front man. You need to
well,
be a front man. That's what we
well,
need.
the story is a friend who I'm still friends with today was like, Nick, you should be the singer in the band. I'm like, but I can't sing. He's like, well, neither can John.
Well, see, I was going to ask you that. When did you know you can sing? Why did you think you couldn't sing? Because
Because I
your
was an
voice is
awful
so
singer.
incredible. The tone of your voice is really quite magical. Because like I said, you've got the lower register, but then when you bam, into these songs with like a Steve Marriott humble pie, kind of delivery, it's pretty mind blowing. So when was that moment where you said, you know what? Yeah, I didn't think I could sing, but I can probably do this. I can probably sing. When did you know?
It took a long time. I was a really
Really?
awful. I was the worst singer you ever heard. I
No.
really was. Yes, I was so bad that my parents sat me down and were like, "Look, Nick, there's something called tone deafness, and it's okay." Like it was like an actual like thing like that, and it pissed me off so much that I sang every goddamn day. And I was like, "Well, you don't like it, well, you're gonna hear it." It was that kind of teen defiance, really kicking in. And eventually I learned to hold a note, and I could kind of sing a little bit. It was all in stages. I joined like I was in like pop punk bands and like little like kind of like poppy alternative bands like that was. And I kind of came to a point where like I was chasing the radio and I wasn't really happy with anything I was doing. And I thought like this isn't what I like. This isn't what I want to do. And I decided, I was in college at the time, and I was like, I want to give it one more shot. I know a guy. If he's gonna play drums in this band with me, then I'll do it. And I called up Robert, and he said, "Give me a minute." And he called me back a couple minutes later and said, "I'll do it." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna this. If he's playing drums, it will be an okay band because he was the best drummer I knew, and this will be good. And then everything else fell into place. Blake and Greg showed up, and around that time, like I thought what really made me become a better singer was thinking that I was going to get kicked out of my own band because I realized that the guys in my band just were way better than I was. And that was a kick in the ass for me to improve as quickly as I could. And it's still that way. And at this point, I've taken myself to places I didn't know if I would have been able to go. And it's still a process. It's so to anyone who says, "Oh, I'll never be able to sing, I can't sing at all." It's like I could not sing at all. I had no tonality, I had no rhythm, I had none of those things. I had to really, work very hard to achieve those things.
That's so hard to believe, but so like epic that you're saying that. And the Joyous Wolf sound is so yeah, it sounds kind of like a joyous wolf. I mean, there's like this feeling of euphoria, when and I've been to a Joyous Wolf show, so I've seen your connection with the fans, which is pretty incredible. I want to talk about that too. And I also want to talk about no matter how big or how small, you mentioned being a Cali band, no matter whether you're on the Sunset Strip, playing a show or whether you're at Aftershock or Louder Than Life. These are big, giant, epic shows. You were recently out with Dirty Honey. I saw some great footage from everybody was just raving, about the opening slot on the Dirty Honey tour. Were you guys buddies, by the way, from the whole like Cali scene and stuff? The two
W-
bands?
It's so weird because we had never crossed paths.
Wow, wow.
In some, they were under, from my understanding, they were under a different name, and like it was kind of a different thing. And by the time that they had started, um, I think I might be wrong because I don't know the entire story, but we had gotten out of LA, and that's when we started playing around the country and whatever, like in 2017. And we had just never crossed. We finally met Justin, the bass player,
Yeah.
um, at a thing that Eddie Trunk did. He just happened to come down from his where he lives to the Rainbow. He lives near there, and we just met him for the first time, and it was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, dude?" And I think we befriended them online and stuff, and like because there's not too many bands that do what we do,
Right,
so.
right, right.
And then they were very sweet, and they asked us to join them on that tour, and we were extremely, you know happy to do so and privileged to, to have been a thought. And it was probably the most fun I've ever had, um, because it's technically, really, it is the first time I've been on the road with another, you know, newer band like us doing that style of music. And the audience just ate it up every night, because it couldn't have been more perfect placing, I think, because
Yeah. Oh
our
yeah. Oh
synergy
yeah.
our synergy was off the charts, I think.
Oh yeah. I saw listeners of ours that are big Dirty Honey, maniacs. We have a long, rich history with this band. And everybody was just raving about, oh, if you're going to see Dirty Honey, you got to get there early to see Joyous Wolf. Don't miss the band. Don't miss the band. They're absolutely incredible.
Mm.
So really nice to see, to see you guys out there shining. And of course, we've been playing Fearless, which is one of those tunes that just, cuts through and, nails it. And I heard that record was kind of like, I think it was you that described it, Nick, is a little bit of an afterthought, and didn't really know if it was going to be a tune that was going to really, have legs.
Well, it wasn't that we didn't think the song was good. It was just that we had like the chorus, and we're like, that's a good chorus. We don't have the rest of the song though. And I mean, it's not Mozart, it's a simple idea. And the whole point with us is like, it could be a very simple song, but if we can't make it feel good, then to us, then it's not worth doing. And it was like the last 3 or 4 days in the studio, and we were kind of wrapping up, and it just kind of came together, and I wrote the lyrics while I was recording them. I knew what I wanted to write it about, and I was kind of like, okay, let's go one take at a time. Okay, what's the next line? Hold on, give me a minute, you know? And it just kind of, it was one of those songs that came together, and it was a showcasing of the technique that for vocally I've been working on. And that was kind of like the whole record, the whole album is a showcase of that for me, is because if I don't hate myself when I'm 40, then I don't think I'm doing it right. Um, so it just fell out of the sky.
Being a fan of the previous material, your EPs, this song had, and the cool thing it was to me, like I heard like this pop, a little bit of a pop sensibility, in the song. And I thought to myself, this is definitely a little bit of a departure for them. And I loved it. I just loved it. I thought it was like Monster Hook for days. When are we getting a full Joyous Wolf record? And when is everybody going to be able to hear however many tracks, from you guys?
Yeah, so the album, we will get a full length Joyce Wolf album. It's looking like first quarter of next year. There should be a single or two to come out before then, as well. So yeah, we're really excited. I mean, we're really proud of it, and we're happy, to kick off 2022 with something special.
I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. Oh, and you know what else I wanted to ask you? I think when I first started becoming a big fan, I think it was like I also saw the cover of Mississippi Queen, which was so incredible. You doing the handspring thing. And I was just like, dude, look at this guy. He's insane. So when you cover Mountain, like, does Leslie West know you covered it? Did you ever hear anything from Leslie West? Because I would imagine, I think that sometimes like classic rock guys love to see, a generation of new rockers appreciating their music and seeing inspirationally what they did for upcoming generations of people making music.
I believe he was aware of it. My management at the time said that he was, and that we got, I don't know what he thought about it really. Uh, I'll never know. Um, and it wasn't, it was really just kind of one of those things where we just liked the song and we played it, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's such a great song. It's such an underrated rock song. Sometimes when people think of classic rock songs, they always go AC/DC, Zeppelin, Aerosmith, and you look at that song and it's just such an awesome, it encompasses everything, especially about a sound that, has that great organic, cool, fuzzy guitar. And it's just a very, very underrated song. And you guys did incredible justice to that song. And I thought really, really sparked it up a couple of notches. So I loved that cover. So the tour is starting in just a couple of weeks. What are the challenges for you guys going out, especially, in pandemic times? What are you most looking forward to getting back out onto the road again?
I mean, we've already done a bit of roading this year already, so I think for us, it's we're just itching to get back to work and to do our thing, and um, trying to. I mean, for me, like I'm still masking up. I'm still doing those things. I'm trying to be responsible of people around me and their safety, which is the most important to me. Um, and hoping that people take it seriously, and all you can hope for is those things. And as far as the show goes, it's just business as usual. I
Yeah.
go out there and I
And
throw
you
down and
made
I
you
have a
made a
good time.
great point. I'm the same way. No matter where I am, if I'm in our studio, I'm masked up. Even if I'm there by myself, or the only way out of this for us to be able to resume going to a Joyous Wolf show and me being able to say, "Hey, dude, had you on the show, last year, give me a hug," is for us to be able to do those things to protect each other and to make sure, that everybody else stays safe. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck behind a friggin' screen for another 2 years. And I don't think any of us want that. I think we want to be out being able to interact and do, rock and roll's about interaction. It's about community. Whether
It
we have
is.
a community with our listeners, you guys have a community with your fans, and we want to be able to get that sense of community again and not have to always be 18,000 feet apart. Me, I'm a germaphobe, so this whole thing has been not great for me. People leave and I'm spraying Lysol at them. I'm like, no offense, but you can spray it at me too. I'm cool with that. So yeah, I think to protect each other, that's going to be a sooner way for us to get out of it. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to talk about, we talked a little bit about your connection with the fans. I love the fan collages. I've been following you guys on social media, and I love to see that the fans are so important to you guys, that you've got these great fan collages of the people that have been following Joyous Wolf and that love the band and that are passionate about the band. So talk to me about your connection with the fans and why you guys think you've made this great, this great one-on-one.
I think it was just mainly about showing appreciation. Mm, it's that simple. you know, when people say, "Can I have a picture with you?" I'm like, "Well, can I have a picture with you?" It's just kind of my level of like, I don't want people to think that I think I'm too good for them or something. I know I've met some people who are that way, who seem to have, or like, forgotten to a degree that these people are the only reason why I get to do this, and I want to make sure that they know that they're special to me, and especially same for the guys. We'll do whatever we can within reason to make them feel like family.
Yeah, because it is a family. It absolutely is a family. And I'm just so excited to see what the future holds for the band, because I think you guys have endless possibilities ahead of you. Just one of the true great new rock and roll bands out there. And every time I play Fearless, I'm just like, yeah, like it just gives me that spark of, knowing that as a rock station, and I've been at WDHA for a long time, that we have this great, these future generations of rock artists that are going to sustain our radio station with its 44-year heritage, on the air here in rock town of New Jersey. And Jersey's a rock place. I mean, Jersey's that place where people are really, really passionate about their music and about their new rockers. Whether we've got people, I had a kid who called me today, was 8 years old, requesting like an Alter Bridge song. And then I had a guy who called me today, was like, had to be in his 50s, talking to me about a memory he had of the station. And I think that that's what it's all about. That's what music is all about. So, thank you for being that next generation of artists that are going to plow us through.
I mean, there's a responsibility, I mean, and we take it seriously, and we just love what we do first and foremost, and that makes it, really easy to do.
Nick from Joyous Wolf, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It's so awesome to have you on Reconnect with Rockers. I greatly appreciate your time. And Fearless is amazing. Cannot wait for the new record.
Thank you.
And can't wait to see you guys out on the road too. We need a Jersey
Uh,
date. We got to get a Jersey date coming up.
it'll be really soon. I can't, I promise.
WDHA's Reconnect with Rockers is powered by Karis Lock Company, your full-service locksmith, and Dover Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram on Route 46 in Rockaway. Online at doverdodge.com.